What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Favorite Files. Last night on the chat, the question was raised: Mortal Kombat, does Storm Collectibles still have the license? And I was like, I hope so. Storm Collectibles has done an outstanding job with Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, whatever they touch their hands on and give us these tremendous sculpts, great articulation, and all kinds of useful accessories. And they've done really solid headway, done great work with Mortal Kombat, but there's still easily 10, 15 more characters I needed to have an essential Mortal Kombat, display. And so I did some digging around, found this. That's our Storm Collectibles. I assume that's the Reddit page. I was hoping it was a lie, but the Mortal Kombat license disappeared from the Storm Collectibles official website. Renato, I would assume, echoing the thoughts of a good amount of collectors. There you have it, Storm Collectibles. No more Mortal Kombat? If so, I have a few things going up for sale soon. And I was really hoping that wasn't the case because, like I said, I've gotten a lot of their figures and they've done really good work. I decided let me take another look around, see what else I could find on this matter. So I went to Storm Collectibles. So there we go. Let's pop it up so y'all can see their website. Action figure, Mortal Kombat. Sorry, there are no products in this collection. Now that's interesting because they have everything from all their different licenses on their regular shop pages. So you can just go around and see everything they've got available. Case in point with Street Fighter. There's the whole gamut of Street Fighter figures that you can get and in most cases not get. The only one available right now is the Ryu Street Fighter 6 figure. Everything else is sold out, but you can see massive amounts of Street Fighter figures. They're all there. Let's go take another look down through something else. Let's go King of Fighters. King of Fighters, tons of characters for that. Now, of course, with that one, I'm never going to assume they're going to have everything. Samurai Showdown, solid amount of characters on that end. Oops, already did Street Fighter. Let's try Soul Calibur. A couple, not a whole lot. Tekken, good amount of figures, characters from that, but they've got them all on the website, even though you can't actually buy them. But Mortal Kombat was the only one. Sorry, no products. And that's kind of weird because it's not like you can buy too many of those figures off of the site anyway. Everything's sold out. Now, you'd think maybe just from an archival standpoint, they would have the Mortal Kombat figures because they've done plenty. They've done Goro, multiple versions of him, Shao Kahn, same thing, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Raiden, Kano. They've done a good amount of those characters. And I was thinking, well, if they're not going to show them there, does this mean there's no chance of getting Mortal Kombat figures anywhere? And that's not true because Big Bad Toy Store, which is the official distributor for Storm Collectible figures in the US, still has Night Wolf still available, still coming in the first quarter of 2024, which is just a few more days out from officially being over. He's not here yet, so I don't know exactly what that means, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's done. On Big Bad Toy Store site, they've got their Mortal Kombat section still intact. It's not disappeared. You can still buy their figures. So Reptile, Kentaro, Shiva, Kano, this new version of Goro, Shao Kahn, two versions of him, Kung Lao. I mean, they've got most of the figures still available, including this Liu Kang and Dragon, which maybe you don't need the Dragon, but Liu Kang is a great figure. They've got Motoro. A ton of those characters are all still there, still available to purchase and buy, with the exception of this 112-inch scale Scorpion and the golden version of Liu Kang. So that was kind of like, okay, well, we still got them available through that route. A figure that's supposed to come is still slated. I haven't seen anything about it being canceled yet in terms of Night Wolf, but that's not an encouraging sign that, hey, there are no more Street Fighter, there are no more Mortal Kombat figures showing up on the site. And just to give you an idea, this is something I always mention. I don't know if I always complain about it, but it's always one of these things where it's like, companies act like the licenses, they're going to hold them forever. And especially if they know the expiration date, it's a little bit more frustrating for us as collectors, where it's like, if you know you've got this license for 3, 4, 5 years, there's certain characters you need to hit. Now, you can do all the fringe versions, you can do all the multiple variants that you need to keep the thing rolling and repaint away to keep more product rolling. But you're going to dip into the line, you've got to do some essential ones. And here is a mass picture of the Mortal Kombat characters. And if you take a look around, they've done a good amount. We've got Baraka, we've got Raiden, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, multiple versions of Scorpion, Sub-Zero. We got Cyrax. We got a bunch of these guys. We got Shao Kahn, Goro, Shiva, Motoro, big name, Kano. We've got a bunch. But there's just a few that I'm kind of like, this is really the end of Storm Collectibles doing Mortal Kombat figures. Some real big omissions that we didn't get to. And of course, as a collector who was very invested in this line, a little bit disappointed they didn't knock out a few. So let's just go over some essential ones that I think they really missed out on if we're not getting any more. Number one is Johnny Cage. This is no particular order, just how I have my windows laid out. But Johnny Cage he's one that I felt like, how did you not do him? He's so simple. Now, granted, if you want to do all kinds of detailed sculpting, yeah, okay, maybe he's a little bit more work, but he's a repaint of the existing molds. If you needed to do another human, instead of doing that Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat 3, do Johnny Cage. He's a character that's synonymous with Mortal Kombat. He's been in all these versions of the game. He's prominently featured in the ads for the latest ones. I mean, the last 2 games that have come out. So to not get a Johnny Cage figure is really weird. If you're not going to get a Johnny Cage, then it's also really, really, really weird to also not get a Sonya Blade. Again, she's the main character in this thing. Her outfit doesn't have to be that complicated, doesn't need to be that complex. Sure, the gimmicks of her fatality you might not get, but everything else is intact. And I don't see why we couldn't have gotten her as a figure in this line. So she is missing big time as well in this whole deal. And then another one, I mean, there's just 2 more that I feel like are really essential. Other ones are kind of like, it'd been nice to get them. But here's another one that I just do not understand why we get him. Shang Tsung. He's the main villain of the first game, the second game. To not get him really feels weird. And there's varying potential. You could have done the older version. You could have done the younger one and just change up a slight deal. You could have just repainted him. It'd have been fine. So to not get him really feels like a mistake. And definitely, because he's another character that didn't need a whole bunch of, sculpting to make work based on existing molds they've already done. And finally, for me, Jax. Jax is a character who he's the black dude in this franchise. So to not get him with his big cybernetic arms really feels like a mistake. Definitely would have loved to have seen him in this thing. And just like Storm Collectibles, yeah, you could have held off on Motoro. And granted, some of these characters they were doing because they had the mold, they had the pieces already set up, but it felt like you really, really should have gotten some of these other characters done. Not to mention, there were some figures that were shown, but we haven't seen any solicitations. We haven't gotten any pre-order information. Hopefully, they're still not in limbo. But I'm talking about Molina and Katana. They were shown way, way, way back. You can see these pictures from toyarc.com. This is early on in the Storm Collectibles run. You can see Shang Li down at the bottom fighting Akuma. And we've got Smoke. We've got that Mortal Kombat 3 version of Sub-Zero here. Like I said, if it was some situation of you got to choose one or the other, I definitely would have preferred to get Johnny Cage. It's not too much different in terms of the sculpt for him than he needed. So we got Cyrax, Sector, we got Molina Katana, Liu Kang's Dragon, and Smoke. So it seemed kind of odd. You know how long ago this has been. to not get these two characters. Granted, this is not their most exciting looks. We've seen McFarlane Toys do different versions, more elaborate sculpts from different games, but to not have the two female ninjas who are easy repaints of one another. Now, granted, you could do the different head sculpt with the look at her teeth, but it felt like a missed opportunity to never get those characters, especially since we saw them. So here's another look at them, and it just kind of feels like a really missed opportunity. So they're done. I mean, there's nothing complicated with those figures. They were really simple, really easy to execute and pull off based off of what we'd already gotten. I don't know what happened there, but looks like we're not going to get them, and it's also a real shame. And just looking like, well, if Mortal Kombat's off the books, then it kind of gives me the side eye to some of the other licenses they hold, specifically Street Fighter and Tekken, the games that I really have enjoyed playing throughout the decades, which is weird to say. But they're characters who are really missing, and Jada Toys is finally motivating Storm Collectibles to knock out some. So we've seen that they woke up and we're like, whoa, wait a second, we've got some competition here. And if we don't get on it soon, these guys are gonna get all of the buzz and the excitement the collectors have for our line. So we've seen that already. They've jumped kind of immediately to like, oh shoot, we've got to get this Blanca out to everybody before they get to their version. So we got him, and let me just pull him up here easier. We got Fei Long coming. Fei Long was a long time coming for them, and it finally took Jada Toys to get theirs out before Storm Collectibles said, yo, we need to get on it. But there are only like 5 characters that I think are really essential for them to knock out. If they don't get to anything else, I mean, sure, there are plenty of other players' favorites, but I think these are the ones they really need to get to. And if they don't, it's gonna be really dumb, kind of silly to not have done those. We get so many different variations from Street Fighter 6 and other games. So I'm talking about Vega. I have pictures. Vega, he's the last 4 of the main bosses of Shadowloo. So we need him. I mean, I don't understand why we haven't gotten him yet. DJ, Jada Toys has shown their prototype, so I assume Storm Collectibles is hard at work at him now. T-Hawk, Dawson, and Classic Cammy. That way we complete the original 12 World Warriors from Super Street Fighter 2 with the 4 new additions. And that way, okay, yeah, we don't get the alpha characters or all the alpha characters, but we got the main Street Fighter ones. I think that should be their goal, just 5 more. So it's not like, oh man, and anything else we get is great. But get these guys in here, let's knock those out, and let's make that happen. And along that same run, granted, I know they're not going to be able to do all this stuff, but if they wanted to just want to kind of dip their toes into the Street Fighter Alpha universe, here's some really easy recommendations that I do have a picture for. And it's Final Fight. Let's get Cody. Let's get Guy. While we're at it, you've already got the Zangief body. Let's get Hagar in the mix. The Mayor. Let's get him in there. And just knock the 3 of those guys out. Yeah, I feel like Cody's the easiest of the 3. But we've got a mold that should work just fine for Hagar. And Guy, I don't know if he's going to require a little bit more sculpting work, but he's a character I think would sell really well. And I feel like they probably have enough pieces from other figures that it would warrant including him, and they can pull it off with minimal work. So those 3 could be our alpha characters. And I know Hagar didn't show up as a playable character in alpha, but if you got those 2, may as well get him as well. And then Tekken, they've done pretty decent headway into that line. We've gotten the Kazuma family, really recommend Kazuma family, the Mishima family represented really well, and that's great, but we got more work to do. We've got so much more work to do on that front. So I started with 5, then I was like, we probably need more. So I'm going with Martial Law. Either one. You could do Martial Law or his dad, Yoshimitsu. I mean, that's Mechanical Samurai. How do we not get him? Eddie Goro, one of my favorite characters to play with. Nina, Anna Williams. That's 5 there, but then my bonus ones are Armor King. You've already got a mold with King, so slap on some armor shoulder pads, some knee pads, and boots. Done. He's all set. And I feel like he's a pretty easy variant since I've already done King so far. Li Shaolin. That's it. So get him in the mix as well. Since we've got the Mishima family, may as well get the Sword of Sun. Get Jack, and it doesn't matter which version. We just need the big hulking robot. Get him into the mix, and finally Jun Kazuma, because she's really integral to that whole dynamic too. So let's get her in there. So Storm Collectibles might have missed the vote on completing or getting all the essential characters needed for Mortal Kombat. The window's still open for them to finish Street Fighter, for them to knock out the essential characters for Tekken. What other fighting games do you want to see them knock out? And which characters would you think are essential ones for King of Fighters, Soul Calibur, Darkstalkers, whatever else that they started? Because we always know that's like the running gag. Oh, they're never going to finish these lines. But as we're seeing with Mortal Kombat, they do need to finish some of this stuff. Because if they don't, we might never get those figures from them. So that's it for me on this one. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching. This episode of Miles Figure Files has been filed.